Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 447, and this week we're doing a one-shot on Satoshi Kon's Dream Fossil. I'm Dakazu, and currently in my head I have Luis Miguel's La Incondicional running. With me is Darfox8.
Hello, it's me, Darfox8. I am the unconditional one, it turns out.
Morgana Santilli.
Hi. I have 80s pop songs running through my head at most times.
And Seamus2389.
I'm dying, and my dying wish is that the people who listen to this podcast donate money for some expensive wish I've yet to figure out.
I can't believe you actually said that.
Expensive wish.
I went back down the rabbit hole of the wrestling people who fake their deaths.
Yeah, it's kind of sad and horrifying that that's a thing and it happens quite often.
Well, it happened twice, like.
Okay.
It's only twice, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I was listening to a podcast talking about the early days of TNA, and they were like, and there was a TNA forum, and then there was a split because one part of the forum weren't positive enough about TNA, so there was a breakaway forum. But it turns out the first guy I ever heard who did it, he was actually head of that forum. He faked his death. But I don't think he was trying to take money off people. I don't know, I guess he just wanted to fake his death for, I don't know, whatever reason. The second person, though, she only did it because people found out she was lying about having cancer. And she was taking people's money.
Oh boy.
Awful. Absolutely awful.
And then she claimed, and then her sister started tweeting from her account claiming the internet drove her to kill herself. But then someone rang up the local morgue and was like, yeah, there was no dead bodies, so obviously she's lying.
You can't lie on the internet. People are going to find out the truth.
Yeah.
I think she put up like some image saying it was a cancer scan. Someone's like, nah, that's a dental record or something. I think that's kind of where, like, that's why I think you just want to say you're dying, because if you start giving details, you open yourself up to questions.
Oh, I love the brazen, just like, put this up here, assuming nobody's ever going to look at it, and just take it at face value.
What a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
I was going to say, like, getting caught in a lie, for me, like, if I'm ever caught in a lie, it doesn't happen too often, because I'm a great liar. But if it ever happens, like...
Yeah, okay.
It's just the most embarrassing, guilt-ridden thing ever. I'm just like, oh god, this is terrible. Getting caught in that kind of lie. Wow. Let me tell you.
Yeah. We are recording live again. This time we're trying YouTube streaming. So if you're watching, like, we have Cliff in chat. We have Chris from Canada in chat. We're doing good, Cliff. I'm sure you hear us talking about, scamming people with fake, health problems. And there's Darfox on stream. Nice green shirt with no stains. Very nice, Dar.
Yeah, this is a pretty new shirt. I got this from Summer Games Done Quick. This is one of the Yeti shirts. They sell for charity purposes. And it took a long time for it to get to me, so it's a new shirt.
Seamus threw all that stuff about the scams, even though I wanted to talk about songs running through your head constantly. Darfox, this week it was Luis Miguel, because you kept showing me that music video of him in the fake army or whatever.
Yeah, the Mexican Top Gun.
Yes, it's the part that's the beginning of the chorus where he's like, "Tu." It's very good.
Oh yeah, tu la uncondicional. Yeah.
Just that part on repeat. It's like great.
Morgana was saying that she has 80s pop songs in her head, but technically that is also an 80s pop song, I believe. I think that came out in the 80s. It's just Mexican pop song.
I am not as familiar with Mexican pop songs, but
we'll show you this after we're done recording.
Yes.
You can experience Mexican Top Gun. What songs do you have in your head?
Right now I have that you make my dreams come true. Ba-da-ba-ba. Okay. I don't know why. I must have seen it on something. But do you ever wake up in the morning and there's a song and you don't know where it came from, but suddenly the Beatles are in your head and you're like,
yep.
What the fuck?
All the time. But usually mine is just because it's something I've been thinking about. So besides Luis Miguel this week, I've had the first cast of Prince of Tennis, the musical, singing like their like end of like Act 1 song in my head. You know, the Prince of Tennis musical, the first edition, had 70% good singers. I mentioned this to Darfox and Wyatt while we were talking this week. It's pretty impressive. Cliff says he has Cupid by 50/50 stuck in his head. Now all he thinks about is K-pop.
He is not alone.
Also, he's drinking... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, a lot of people think only about K-pop these days, I've noticed.
Oh my god, Dar, you put up a poll. We can put up polls?
We sure can.
Wow. Crazy. I think Tyler is in chat, so with the current of 3 people, we're going to get like either 100%, 66, or, 33. I can't wait.
Good math.
Well, one of them is me, and I just answered, so...
Oh, shit. No, it's that's at 25.
Skewing the results.
But I also voted, so now, like...
Yeah.
now it's out of 5.
We count to presidential candidates vote as well. I assume they vote for themselves or
of course.
whatever.
We're having fun with this streaming. Sorry. I'll direct us back to the podcast proper. Yeah. Welcome to our Manga podcast. We don't just preamble all the time at the beginning. But yeah, this, we're trying the streaming thing. This time on YouTube. We'll see how it compares to the Twitch that we've been doing. But this was actually running on our YouTube channel. So I think after this is done, Dar, you don't even have to like edit this. This is just going to upload onto the YouTube channel as well.
Oh, yes, I have the option to just let it go straight out to the YouTube. And I think I have the option to trim, like the beginning when we had the wait time, like the 10, 15 minutes of wait time. So, yeah, it's pretty simple.
Very nice, very nice. Oh, Chris is watching from work again. What a slacker. God. We talked about this last week, Chris. Jeez. That's what we get for having, like, live streaming of our recording. Anyway, for our main segment, we'll be talking about Satoshi Kon's Dream Fossil. But before we do that, let's move along to an email this week. I didn't get to do an email last week, so this week we will be doing an email I have received from Tyler, who is also in our chat. Tyler is from Germany. His email is titled International Dub Voice. If the Manga Mac podcast was going outside of the English market, who would you want to do your international dub voice for the podcast? It's called Synchronous Roles. Like how Leonhard Malchlich is the German voice of Chris Pratt in all forms of media and interviews in Germany. For example, Tyler's international voice would be, the English would be Jack Black or Mike McFarland. And Japanese voice would be Kosuke Toriumi. Don't you think you're punching a little high there, Tyler? With these choices? What are you trying to say? Do you want someone to represent you? Or are you just want someone famous?
I also want Jack Black to do all of my dub in every language. I'm not familiar enough with actors in other countries, I think, to answer this question.
Well, I just looked one up for myself. Carlos Segundo, who does the voice of Piccolo, and I guess he does Mr. Popo and Kamisama in Dragon Ball. He has a good voice in Spanish. And he does pretty good with the comedy, because occasionally they make Piccolo do silly stuff in Dragon Ball, and that's always great. So definitely wouldn't fit me or my personality, but I say Piccolo.
All right, nice. My problem here is I speak Japanese, so why wouldn't I just do my own voice?
Oh, there you go.
That happens sometimes too.
I mean,
bilingual dub.
Like, who is it? The Japanese voice actor for Spike Spiegel. I forgot his name, but he always does Brad Pitt, I think.
Brad Pitt.
Mm-hmm. I was watching like a bunch of YouTube content with voice actors, Japanese seiyuu. And they were talking about like there was a person like really old that was doing Columbo in Japanese, and everybody who referenced them said that the Japanese Columbo sounds more like Columbo than the English actor.
No, Peter Falk is perfect. Never mind. I want Peter Falk. He's dead, but I want Peter Falk to do all my dubs.
Not to the Japanese. Not to the Japanese.
Oh, he's
Morgana.
so good. And another thing. Cliff is telling me that I should pick Sophia Loren for the Italian dub, which would be cool, except that I could also probably do my own Italian dubbing. So...
Yeah, I could just start talking about Japanese seiyuu and voice actors that I like. Like, I always talk about Kenjiro Tsuda, my man crush. Fucking deep-ass voice.
I want one of those, for Japanese, I don't know enough actors' names, but I want one of those women who has like a nice throaty voice.
You want Kurama, the person who played Kurama. To voice
Megumi Obata, I think is her name. Yes, and she also did Katra in Gundam Wing. So yes, absolutely, I want Megumi Obata to do my voice.
She's usually relegated to male roles, like she is famously Shinji from Evangelion. She's done some female roles, yeah.
Her voice is deep enough, or other reasons? I mean, I could pick her Shinji's voice right now and
deep, husky. Same thing with Romi Paku, who did Elward Elfons from Full Metal Alchemist. Also does the really popular character from Bleach, the ice guy. Sometimes she does like female roles, but usually like they're relegated to more mature roles, not like cute girls. I see Darfox sneezing. I saw you mute your mic.
Yeah, secret for the stream. You can see and hear me sneeze. The podcast won't hear that because I push talk.
Good man. Keep that sneezing off our audio feeds. Seamus, I don't know if you have any thoughts about international dub voices for yourself.
No, in fact, the only thing I can think of is... Well, actually, it's not even it was a dubbing, but it was nothing to do with language. I think it was back in the 80s, RTE, which is a broadcaster in the Republic of Ireland, there was like some law passed that said that like members of the IRA couldn't have their voice on TV or radio. Or was it BBC who did this?
Interesting.
One or the other of them basically hired a guy called Stephen Ray to like read out, like instead of hearing Jerry Adams' voice, it was Stephen Ray just speaking Jerry Adams' stuff. Which Stephen Ray then years later did a play where he played a unionist who's convinced his grandson is the reincarnation of Jerry Adams.
What?
Yes. What was the name of it? Something Street. He murdered a baby at the end of it anyway.
What?
Yeah, it was like a one-person play. I think it was just a one-person play. But it was, because it was done like this like theatre in the round, so it's like, I'm going to compare it to a wrestling ring where there's like an audience on every side, so it's not like a normal play where it's like you're looking at the one side.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Why don't do you want a wrestler to like dub you in English?
No, I was just thinking of the Stephen rating.
Okay.
Does Seamus need to be dubbed into English? In theory,
yes.
he's speaking English.
From dealing with people whose English is not their first language, some people whose English is their first language, probably at times not having some of my accent speak English probably better.
Yeah, I will confess, and I'm somebody who's used to accents, but it did take me a little while to get used to your accent, Seamus.
Day one for me, easy peasy. To understand Seamus, easy.
The secret is I still don't understand Seamus half the time.
I'm used to, like, my little old Italian grandmother's accent, which I don't really feel like she has an accent, but my husband has assured me that, yes, she has a very heavy accent, actually. I'm like, no, she talks totally normal. And he's like, she doesn't, though.
Well, there you go. We'll wrap on this email. Chris from Canada wants to know what this week's Manga Mac bump is, Darfox.
That's right.
Because he went to McDonald's and put a tweet out with Manga Mac bump, got me to buy McDonald's. So that exists on the internet now. Thank you, Cliff.
This week's
Wait, not Cliff. Chris, sorry.
Ooh. You're mixing up our star chatters right here. Today's Manga Mac bump is $20,000 gold ring. Go ahead and get you one of them and pick. And I'm messing with you. I will make you buy one of those. Although if you want to buy one of those, I'm sure it'll be real stylish.
Why didn't you just pick something that's kind of doable?
Wasn't there a podcast that had this idea, but like it had to be like Indian 1884 or 84 for lease?
Oh, A4 Play. The A4 Play podcast.
Was that the? Oh,
Yeah.
yes, that would also fit with the actual podcast name.
If there was like a fundraiser or a Kickstarter, they wanted you to donate like $8.40 or $84, like to have the 84 in there somewhere. We don't really have a number, so we might revisit that later. But yeah, Chris, if you get buy a manga. No, unless you just bought a bunch of manga recently, buy a manga. So maybe look at our last few podcasts and it's something that you like, and bump that. Just to give a serious answer.
Tell them we sent you.
Yes.
All right, let's move along from this email. We'll do a little bit of what you've been reading. Seamus, you read anything this week?
Not this week, but flipping through some stuff, I realised ages ago I finished the other version of No Longer Human. Did I talk about this in the podcast? I don't think I did. I can't remember.
You have not.
The Furio one?
That one.
Okay. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
The good one.
Oh, interesting. I've also read this, so we can talk about this a little.
Is there such thing as a good version of No Longer Human? Sorry, I didn't even... I love Junji Ito, and I couldn't finish the Junji Ito one, so...
So, there's a version of No Longer Human, which is the really famous novel by Osamu Dazai. And it's been adapted into manga a couple times. Junji Ito did one, so we did a podcast episode on that one. But yeah, there is a version by Usamaru Furuya. And that one takes place in modern times. Yeah, Seamus, let's talk about this. You read this?
Yes. Yeah, because it's like a moderate... He's like a teenager... And he does run away from home. The big thing is he becomes a manga writer. And I think the framing device is someone's, he ends up posting about his life on some online, blog thing. And some guy reads about it.
No, that's the thing, okay? Here's the thing, everybody. The framing device for this is the character of, the story, the novel, I forget what his name was.
Well, it's Dazai's self-insert character,
right? It's
right?
Oba, Yozo Oba. He makes a blog, and the person who finds it is Usamaru Furuya, who's at the beginning of this manga is like, man, I gotta come up with an idea for my next manga. Hey, what's his website? What's his ouch diary of Yozo Oba? So it's every time it keeps cutting back to Usamaru Furuya reading this blog, being like, yo, this is crazy.
That's weird.
And at the end, he's taking a walk after he finishes the blog, and he sees a person, on the street. And he's like, could this be Yozo Oba? Well, maybe. I don't know. But that's how it ends. Usamaru Furuya meets Yozo Oba in the trash. I'm sure you love that, Morgana.
Well, that's where I would expect him to be.
Yeah. But sorry, Seamus, you were gonna say your thoughts about this.
Yes. I think my main thought was I really need to reread that novel because I have no idea what is or isn't in that novel anymore beyond very broad outlines. Because I know there's definitely some parts I was like, oh yeah, where your one and your man, they go to kill themselves, that's in there. Then there's a whole thing where he meets some woman, who I think it's an editor in a manga magazine with a kid, and like he's with them for a while. I think he does like a children's magazine that actually is fairly popular, and then he also does like a secret porn magazine.
That's when he starts getting into the drugs.
The woman and the kid is part of the original story, right? Like he stays
Yes.
with that family. That's for the most part like pretty good, and he kind of like feels guilty about like ruining them basically, or like being too close to them because he's such trash.
Yeah, he leaves that to get married to like a girl who's very young. And that's like the last part of the story where like he gets married and he's living a happy life, and then his manga editor like assaults his wife, and then like
Jesus.
he falls into drugs.
Just it's like the story is really interesting to me because it's just about like it's supposed to be about like the person with no shame, right? The person that just like just total trash of a person and their life that is so bad. But it's like the casualties in the story that's like the stuff that makes the story kind of uncomfortable for me. In
And they're all
retrospect.
women.
Yeah,
They're all women
yeah, right.
casualties.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the stuff that's like it's still an interesting story, but I just don't know if I like it.
Well, in the Usamaru Furuya version, when he falls into drugs, he meets a foreign man from Persia who gets him on that good old, what is it?
Hashish.
I forgot whatever it is. It's what is the drug that you like burn on the aluminum foil and then you
Heroin.
snort? Is it heroin? Okay.
No, or cocaine.
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a pure boy. I don't do drugs.
I'm guessing, but I think that's the right one. Seamus would know. Seamus has strange friends.
Polish Pete. But Seamus, you say, oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead and tell us about Polish Pete or whatever. Sorry.
No, I was just reminiscing on Polish Pete. Forgot about that story.
But at the beginning, Seamus said this is the superior version of the manga adaptation of No Longer Human.
I'd say so, yeah. In fact, I would go far to say I think the Junji Ito version is nearly worse in its treatment of women or portrayal of them, because he adds in a load of extra shit where it's like, well, maybe not the treatment in the sense of like they all get fucked up by your man either way, but like from what I remember on the Ito one, they like add in a bunch of extra stuff where it's like, that's not why that played out the way it did. Where like this one, he does like it is modern day and like he's a manga editor, but I think it like doesn't change it in a way I think is, I don't know, bad like I thought the Ito one was. Where it's like, why are you adding all this extra shit? Like, like extra shit that isn't like as good as the original stuff.
Is that the weird dream sequence thing in the Junji Ito one and the end of that one that tried to make it into more of a horror thing? Where the friend goes to visit him and he's like stuck under the thumb of that woman that he because there was the entire thing with the cousins, right? In the Junji Ito one in his past, they fell in love with him. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Well, was that not in the story? Cousin stuff?
No.
Definitely wasn't in this Usamaru Furuya version.
Wow.
No, he added like not a bunch of stuff, definitely stuff at the start. It was like, that's not in the original at all. I just can't remember what it was exactly. Yeah, it's been a good few years since I've read that novel and the Junji Ito one, and then this one I've read more recently.
It doesn't surprise me that Ito does that, though, because I think, like, the beautiful, tragic female character is such a staple of, like, the horror, like, especially, like, the exploitation portion of horror. And Ito, I love his work. It's not what I would call feminist fiction.
No.
This is the Usamaru Furuya version was a vertical release. So
I think his. I don't know. I don't remember. Do I have it in front of me? I don't. Where is it? Like he did a lot of stuff with like I think some of the imagery. I think it was two things in particular. One, he kept on coming back to this idea of like puppetry. Your man, the main guy, kind of seeing people as a puppet or viewing himself as a puppet, trying to like manipulate himself in the right way to appear the right way to people. And I think the other thing too was when all the sex scenes were done in like a very different style. It was nearly more like a painting than like the kind of normal kind of like comics or manga style from the rest of it. Very, very different.
talking about the Junji Ito version, right?
What about
The Furuya version?
yes.
Was it like the pencil sketch type looking things? Oh yeah, I found some sample
Yes,
pages.
I think
Yeah. That's what it was. Some imagery of like dolls, like when he tries to commit suicide with that one woman. I'm actually surprised that Shameless was pretty high on No Longer Human by Samaru Furuya.
There's some website that I can't remember. I remember reading years ago. I think actually when the Judito one came out, I think someone on that wrote that like, yeah, the Fourier one was better. So at the time I was like, I need to check out this Fourier one at some stage.
All right, and it turned out to be true. I'm sorry, I just remember my impression was like I read the beginning and the framing device of like Furuya himself reading that blog. I was just like, really? This is the way we're going?
Yeah, I'll say that framing device, not good. But well, it was just like, okay, why is this even here?
All right, very nice. Anything else, Seamus?
Nope.
All right, let's move along to Darfox. Yeah, more show and tell for the stream this week or anything?
No, actually, I don't. Trying to think what I've been up to. It's weird. It's like this whole week has been just like a black hole, a void.
Well, you're prepping for this YouTube stream, so I know you're doing work on that.
Did we watch the election this week or was that last week?
You watched it after last week's recording.
Rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the only thing we watched, and we're not really going to talk too much about that. But I finally saw Election 1 and 2 by Johnny Toe. I watched it with Seamus and Wyatt, and a couple other people. That's a good movie. Did you tune in for that, Doc? I don't remember.
I was not around for that.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good movie, and Seamus kept kind of reminding me of a couple scenes from The Wire here and there that were like kind of really similar. And I think that's kind of apropos because like there was I guess like an understated nature of the story and kind of like a richness of the characters that really did remind me of The Wire, where it was kind of like low key tragedy or low key comedy. You know, it's just like it isn't. Well, Election 2 gets a little more over the top with the violence, but yeah, if you don't know what it is, Election is a movie about a triad election. Because I guess the triads are democratic, but they're still mobsters, so there's like subterfuge and deals, backroom deals. So,
so like real politics.
yeah, which is the funny thing, right? Because like, one of the things that the movie plays with is like the legitimacy of gangsters slash businessmen slash the police slash the government, and kind of like the interplay. And the second one really ends with this kind of weird, uncomfortable, I guess you could say, revelation about like the Chinese government taking control of the triads. Spoilers, I guess, but like it's very interesting. Where in one way it makes China look very strong because they're able to basically kind of take control of the triads, but at the same time, it portrays them as not that different from the mobsters. The way they strong armed the characters. But yeah, the first one's pretty low key. It does build to like some murders and there's some violent stuff in it. But the second one it's pretty hardcore. It's like the second one picks up where the first one ends, and there's a lot of murder. There's a lot of like torture of people and just like really gruesome stuff in it. I like both of them.
There's a lot of use of knives and not guns.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's one of those like realistic looking kind of crime movies where like the violence isn't too stylized or anything. It's just kind of like it's just when somebody gets hit with something, it's like a dull thud. It's not like this big exaggerated sound effect, but that almost makes it kind of like kind of scarier and like, ooh, that person got messed up, kind of thing. I haven't seen too much Johnny Toe films, but apparently he makes a lot of
I'd
movies.
say Johnny Toe is more of a gunman than a knife man, but he in Election you're like, no, Johnny Toe can do anything like he wants to really in a movie. It's just because like he's also done like romance and a musical with Chow Yun Fat about the 2008 financial crisis, and like I don't know, people judo and mysteries, and I think there's a decent amount of like New Year's romances because they're good money makers. That it's like do the New Year's romances to make money to do the movies about like people who like do judo, or a monk who like what was running out of camera about a monk who like becomes a bodybuilder because he couldn't be a monk anymore and ends up solving murders.
Wait, is this a true story?
Yeah, there's a movie, one of his movies. It's like because the main character wears like a muscle suit in it. Oh, what's it called? Running on Karma.
Running on Karma.
I think that's the name of it. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
I thought we weren't going to talk about this. Now we're talking about this.
I think like he's more known for like stuff like Election and Election 2 and Drug War, but like I think like Throwdown, which is a judo movie, and that one are two like to me are probably like two of his ones I like the most. Or he's a cop one called PTU about like a bunch of police like one night in Hong Kong just doing things and stuff happens, and yeah, it's very good.
Doing things and stuff happens.
It's like, oh, this crowd are going on a patrol, and this guy lost his gun running, chasing after someone in an alley, and these other people are, there's like some auditor woman around, and stuff happens.
The best movies have stuff that happens.
Or Exile, actually, which actually, like that's first, like that's very stylized.
So,
but like in a way, I don't think any other I've ever seen before would like how he did it.
So, having seen Election 1 and 2, where would you say I should go next in a Johnny Toe adventure?
But see, I feel like Election 1 or 2 are like very different from I think what he's more known for in like how stripped back and like just like it's just how fucked the whole thing is, and there's like no like make just like yeah, this is a pretty fucked situation. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it there. I think a lot of his other like Exiled and like Vengeance and Mission were more a group of like gangsters all come together to like do something to help out someone else.
Okay, a little more Hollywood, maybe like a little more.
I wouldn't say more Hollywood, but like it's not like the politics of Election and Election 2. Drogar is probably like the closest, is nearly like the sequel he could make because it's following like a bunch of Chinese cops going after Hong Kong drug dealers, and like all the criminals are played by Hong Kong actors and all the cops are played by mainland Chinese actors, and that also has like an ending that's real fucked where you're just like one thing happens, one character says something to another character, and then he does that thing at the end of the movie in a way where you're like, Jesus Christ, I never would have thought of that. And then you watch a man like try and like beg his way out of being killed as he's literally like pumping poison into him in an execution.
Yeah, that sounds like Election stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is good.
Yeah, like I'm sorry. We go watch the live stream and you see me lose my train of thought. You can see my brain go blank. Okay, well we can wrap up the Election talk, but it's definitely a movie that I want to watch again because it's one of those movies that just there's so many characters that especially watching the first film when you get introduced to all the characters, I definitely like lost the plot at times. But it's interesting also, and this is what I was going to say before I lost my train of thought. It's kind of a mobster movie that doesn't really glamorize the mobster life, or rarely does. I really like Goodfellas. It's actually probably one of my favorite movies. And a large part of that movie is showing you why that lifestyle is alluring to some people, because they get the respect and the power and the money, and everybody knows them, and they could just walk into the restaurant, they get any seat they want, and that famous one shot tracking scene when they walk into the restaurant. Um, Election doesn't do that stuff. It's just like a bunch of old people, the uncles, like the people who are in top of like at the top of the food chain, the triads, just sitting in a dark room smoking. You can barely see them, and they're just talking about like, oh, like who's voting for who, like what's going to be the best option and stuff like that. It's very stripped back. It's very unglamorous. And I think that's one of the things I really liked about it. Right, Takazu?
Sure. I should have known better that, like, as soon as you guys mentioned it, it's like The Wire. It's like, oh boy, here we go. Let's not let Dark Fox and Seamus go off.
Oh, when are you going to watch The Wire? Do you want to watch The Wire, or like, do you want to watch The Wire with me or Seamus, or do you want to just like watch it on your own eventually?
I don't know, dude. I got a lot of manga to read.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But also, do you really want to watch The Wire, Dakazu? Wait, did you see either one of those movies? I can't remember. Election or Election 2?
I did not.
Okay. I feel like if you watch those movies, you probably have an idea whether you want to watch like 50 hours of those movies.
Oh, great. Okay.
Or not those movies, but like that same, like they're saying, very stripped back, very just like matter of fact. Like you just watch episode after episode, and you're like, all these people, they're all just so fucked.
It's kind of like
so fucked.
Sounds like a good time.
No. I think it's kind of like the slice of lifing of mobsters, where like instead of having like these big dramatic hit scenes, those happen occasionally where somebody gets hit, like just an assassination. It's mostly just them sitting on a couch being like, "Hey man, chicken nuggets are pretty good, right? I love chicken nuggets," and it's just like it's just them living their life, and that's why it's good.
Now I know why you like The Fable so much.
Yeah. No, that kind of grounded element. Seeing gangsters fucking tired, seeing gangsters like with the fucking life I've lived has literally like stuck the soul out of me. And it's not necessarily because I killed people. It's because it's like a bunch of other shit that's happening as well. That's actually like really interesting and sometimes funny, tragically funny.
To tangentially tie this back to manga, there is actually a series of Japanese movies called Battles Without Honor of Humanity. I would say is like the other one, because I remember watching those movies and being like, oh yeah, this reminds me of a thing from The Wire. And actually, like The Wire, it was based off like it was like some Yakuza wrote about, here's a load of shit that happened in like 2 years in Hiroshima, and then they made a series of movies on all the shit that happened in Hiroshima between all these shooting gangs. But it's very just like backroom politics and just like people just being like, what the fuck, like this is what the fuck am I doing with my life.
We talked about this because it came up in Ayako by Osamu Tezuka. All the mobster stuff, like they actually reference directly to those movies, like in that manga.
Oh right,
I vaguely remember this.
And they were all on Tubi at one stage. I don't know if they still are, for people who live in the US or have access to a VPN. And actually, there was also quite a lot of Johnny To movies on Tubi at one stage, including that musical about the 2008 financial crisis, starring Chow Yun-fat.
Let's move along. Morgana, did you read anything this week?
I would say this. You might actually find it interesting because the set design is like a big warehouse, and it's all like neon beams. Actually, supposedly it was a 3D movie that was actually worth watching in 3D.
I'll take a look. But in the meantime, let's move along. Morgana, anything this week?
No reading. I did just start playing a new video game, and I don't need to go into it a lot, but it's called Cozy Grove, and it's very, very similar to Animal Crossing, except that the island that you're on, that you're trying to kind of, instead of starting from scratch, you're kind of rehabbing it. because you are a spirit scout and the island is haunted, and you are trying to help all the ghosts on the island fix things up and move on. So it is like Animal Crossing for Morgana, essentially. It's very cute.
Very
it's very
nice.
simple. Yeah, it's super simple. It's like very low key, low stakes. And I just played a bunch of it today for the first time. I don't know why I decided to get a video game like right before my husband gets the new Zelda. That's he's waiting.
Oh, that's right. This is still on the Switch, so you're literally like, let me get this game so I can co-op your time away from you trying to play Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, he hasn't gotten it yet. He's waiting for it to get here. He pre-ordered it and it's being slow, but I'm just gonna squeeze in a little bit of me game time before he takes it over.
Yeah, it's funny, Dar. I finished that Tim Rogers video essay on Boku no Natsuyasumi.
Yes,
where he heavily talks about like Animal Crossing.
Yes, the Gran Turismo of Animal Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tim Rogers is a weird fellow. Interesting videos.
6-hour videos.
Yes. So that's what you do with your time.
Yes, that's why I'm not watching The Wire.
Too much manga.
6-hour video essays. I also watched a video essay on Fear and Hunger, so
well,
I've been thinking about that.
Dakazu has to do something when he runs out of the 100 chapters.
That's true. Yes.
So. Listen. Well, let me start talking about some my stuff.
Yes.
We are also going to do news very soon because I will talk about the K-manga stuff. But let me get out some just regular old manga out of the way. I'm going to shoot this link over to Darfox. Blue Giant Explorer ended. And the newest issue of Big Comic Magazine, which is a bi-monthly magazine, every month there are 2 issues. Blue Giant Explorer was running in that. This is also the magazine that has Go-Go 13 still running in it. Also, that Jumbo Max manga I talked about, Tsutomu Takahashi's manga about the man and the erectile dysfunction, makes a special drug out of human placenta. That manga runs here too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's his magazine. Blue Giant Explorer ended. It is. I will give no spoilers because obviously this is not out in English. But I thought it was weird. I thought the ending of Blue Giant Explorer was very weird. The thing here is, when we read the original Blue Giant here on this podcast, it's put out by 7 Seas in English, and was it double volume omnibuses, and we did the retrospective. That ends with a dramatic thing happening, and then the main character Dai leaving Japan. The second series, Blue Giant Supreme, has him traveling through Europe. And Supreme was 11 volumes, and it was very tight. Like, everything that happened in Europe happened there. And so Explorer, the third series, which just ended, is about Dai traveling across America. So here's the thing. It ends, and he's not done with America. It's like, yeah, Darfox just scrolled down to like the thing that's revealed, like the new part 4 is coming out, and it's going to be New York. It's the one place he hasn't been to, so part 4 is all going to be about Dai in the, the place of jazz, besides New Orleans. New Orleans was visited in Explorer. Oh, Dar,
like
Morgana.
Mm-hmm.
They did not go to Chicago. They went across the south and then hooked up north.
That's part 5.
That's part 5. Back to Chicago. Darfox made a joke during our retrospective when we were talking. I was talking a little about Explorer and how they're in America. And remember, you were talking about what happens when Dai just like fucking like schools some like American like player, and then like he dunks on them.
Yeah.
I will say there's a scene in Explorer where Dai plays basketball against some black teens.
Wait, does he dunk on them?
No.
He gets dunked on.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay. Lord.
Dunk on that kid. Fucking Dai coming over to Japan. Fucking trying to take their music and their game. Fuck.
It was in New Orleans, yeah. But yeah, getting away from that joke, yeah. So it's very weird how this Explorer section does not like have kind of a end on it like the other sections did. It very much kind of just ends because hey, it's around 10 volumes that these sections are in. So it's like we finished the 10 volumes worth of material. Let's end it. And then let's keep this story going. It's very much still going, what's happening with the characters. And they're pretty much going to be going to New York. So I thought that was a little strange. That'll be my non-spoilery thoughts on Explorer. I still really liked Explorer. It was very cool and interesting to watch Dai go through America.
How does it compare to Beck and that American Trek?
It's a similar sense where, we a little bit of fish out of water, learning about America, the American culture. There's some parts that are weaker than stronger. I can't, like I said, I don't want to get into specifics, but I really enjoy it. It's still one of my favorite manga right now. The end of Explorer was good. Just that, it's very much like, oh, we could immediately start and go into the next part. Alright, I'm just checking chat, but no one's talking, as far as I can tell.
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay. I'll move along. I'll just talk about one more manga, and then I'll go right into news. So I am reading Parasite Reversi, or Kiseiju Ribasi. I've talked about this, Morgana. It's like kind of it's like a guidance story for Parasite. It's drawn by Moade Ota. He's one of the manga artists who did the the omnibus collection of the Parasite stuff. I think he went on a Manga Mavericks podcast to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, the Parasite F and Parasite M.
Yeah, he did one of the stories there, and he was asked to do the series Parasite Rivasi. I sent Darfox a link to Comic Days that has, like, the series on it. And,
take that down and choose a couple of pages and put it back up.
Sure. It ran on Comic Days, which is a Kodansha web manga site for, I think, mostly their seinen stuff, or just like, it's kind of like a big collection of a lot of their Kodansha manga, mostly for shonen seinen. And it's a story that runs parallel to the events of Parasite. I'd read the first volume, but they didn't really reveal too much, besides that the main character is Tatsuki Hirokawa, and he's the son of the mayor character in Parasite. The one who is...
He was being set up as like the big bad, but then
yes.
reveal...
The big reveal that... I don't know if we'll actually say it, but yeah. Okay. He's like an antagonist character in the original Parasite series, right? And so this Parasite Reversi stars his son, who has witnessed a murder by the parasite creatures, and he questions his father.
Is that too gruesome to put on stream? Because it has some butts. I'm not going to put it on stream.
Okay.
There's some butts.
Are you talking about the scene of the
butts.
Parasites? They might be devouring something.
The feasting scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Parasite type art, gruesome art, but
maybe you want to get a shot of the Tatsuki, the main character, the son. At the end of the first chapter, there is a reveal of the actual Hirokawa, right, the mayor character. I've been reading this over on K Manga. Darfox, this is readable on K Manga, and I'll get into K Manga in a little bit. But I'll just talk about Parasite Reversi by itself. So far, it's okay. I really like Moade Ota's artwork. It kind of matches. We have some characters showing up in the series. Like, you guys remember the detective character with the glasses?
Vaguely. It's been a
Got
while.
the comb back hair. Yeah, it's been a while, but he was a detective character that was helping Shinichi from the original series. The thing that's interesting about Parasite Reversi is the villain of this series is a human who has a parasite on his left arm.
Huh.
So it's like, the main character of of Parasite, Shinichi, with how Migi takes over his right arm. And like in this case, the human with the parasite that didn't take over his brain, he still has his human brain and he has a parasite as an appendage. He's going out being a serial killer and doing murders and bad things. I think they set it up to be like, the opposite of Shinichi from the regular series. And I'm still in the process of reading this. I think I'm maybe 20 chapters in, a little under that, I think. Reading on the K-Manga app is slow, so it's taking me a while. I will eventually try and read the whole thing, and I'll report back afterwards. But yeah, look at him. Tatsuki, the main character, he is known for doing Rubik's Cubes. I will say, Morgana, you would not appreciate this, but much like Parasite itself, the original series, we got some female characters that are just being introduced to be killed off. So the treatment is not different in Parasite Reversi from what I can see.
Yeah, I mean, there were some very legitimately interesting female characters in Parasite too, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's the nature of life. My life is to just keep reading things that I like 75% of, but the remaining 25% is misogyny.
Yep. That's how it is. I'm sorry.
Just focused on the teacher. Parasite.
Well, the interesting thing about Reversi, I'll say for the last thing, is there are multiple characters that show up from Parasite, right? Like Tamara Reiko shows up, and then it's me doing the Leonardo DiCaprio on the couch, like pointing. It's like, hey, it's Tamara Reiko. She showed up.
I like her.
Or some of the other Parasite characters that show up, it's like, hey, I recognize those. Or like the human detective, when he showed up, I was like, I know who that guy is. So yeah.
Captain.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like Captain America. I understood that reference.
Yep, exactly.
Does the dopey mouth Parasite guy show up?
Not yet. The news thing showed up. There was a Parasite report. There was a person with a giant mouth lips thing. Wait, that wasn't him, was it? That was just the regular Parasite news. Yeah, so not yet, Dar. If Shinichi shows up in this, I don't know how I'll feel. That might be weird.
Yeah, it feels like it's cool to make another story in this universe, but I think like too much crossover is kind of like, I mean, I guess no matter what, it's kind of cashing in on the name, right, to a degree, but
yeah, but you could do the concurrent storyline like a little tactfully, and you could do it very hokey, like, oh, it turns out this person was friends with this person all along, that kind of thing. It could be too much, right?
Yeah.
Let's not retcon Parasite, please.
I mean, I guess I'll find out when I get to finishing this, because I'm reading on the K-Manga app.
What if he's there when Seichi kills the big bad at the very end by sticking the thing in his leg?
And he's actually hiding in a bush and be like, good job!
Yeah, no, he's the one who actually kills him. Like, he comes over and pours poison in his mouth or something.
Oh, like afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. That would be the worst case scenario, so something really silly like that.
Well, I'll find out. But yeah, I want to end what you've been reading, and I want to get into news, because the K-Manga app is here, everybody. Kodansha's manga reading app, manga service app is what it's called. It's out in the US right now. Not available in Canada or UK or other English-speaking countries yet. Morgana, you mentioned you heard that it is convoluted and is a mess.
Yeah, I downloaded both the K Manga app and the Viz Manga app this week just to look at them. I haven't signed up for either of them yet. And just looking at the K Manga app, it's noisy, like visually noisy.
It's a mess. It's a mess. It is a mess. It is very crazy, and you're like, what the fuck am I looking at?
I will say, in its defense, you can browse by genre, which I don't think you can do in the Viz Manga app. I have not been able to figure out how to do that. So,
but you also can't just browse all titles.
Right.
I had to look in the search bar and put A in, like the letter A, and then I could pick like alphabetical order to see all the manga. There's a lot of manga on this, Darfox. Darfox, this has all of the Fable, including the new series, Fable Second Contact.
Wow.
All the chapters in English.
In English? Wow.
Yes. Morgana, this has all available chapters of Windbreaker.
Oh shit.
See? See? That's the thing. This has a lot of manga on it. The problem is people were expecting a subscription service. This is not a manga subscription service.
I was definitely hoping for one, but you were expecting this all along, I think.
Yes, because this is heavily based on the Japanese manga service that Kodansha already has. They have things like the Pocket Manga app. They have the Comic Days app that I just mentioned that had Parasite Reversi. There's a bunch of them. They even have a Young Magazine app. And they all do a similar system here where you can read the first couple chapters for free. You can also read the newest chapters for free, maybe 3 or 4, but it doesn't include the newest chapter. The simulpub release is not available for free until a week later. You have to use coins, same on this K-Manga app, you have to use coins to buy it.
My guess is that this is to combat piracy.
I think if it's to combat piracy, it's a bad idea, Morgana.
Well, I think the idea being that, if you don't release it for free on the day that it's out, then the pirates can't get at it can't steal it from your app and put it out.
Oh, someone already I think Chris from Canada posted in our Discord that people have been banned for trying to take screenshots off the app because it violates the term of service or something.
Man, just tell them that you can't take screenshots. Like, my library, like, the Hoopla app, if you try to take screenshots of a comic, it'll tell you, like, hey, you can't do that. And that's it. It doesn't ban you. It's just like, hey, you can't, you're just not able to.
Right, I don't know if it says that here. I haven't tried, because I don't do illegal shit, everybody. But also because I was just kind of looking through this app and trying to figure everything out.
It was Marion, it wasn't Chris.
Okay, it was Marion. Okay.
But I think somebody followed up on it and say that like it doesn't stop you from doing it. So maybe if you keep trying to do it, keep trying to force it, it will ban you, which is weird.
It's in the terms of service, I guess. So Dar, this is really confusing at first glance when you get this app, because I mentioned how you have the beginning chapters of a series free, right? And then the newest chapters are free except for the very newest chapter that's locked behind coins. You have coins and you have tickets.
Oh no, 2 fake currencies.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The ticket system is the chapters in the middle that are not free to read. This also depends from series to series, but for most of them, you can use a ticket to read one chapter. This ticket refreshes in 23 hours. So every day you could, or a little less than every day, you could read one chapter of a series. The tickets are exclusive per series. So if you look at it that way, you can actually read a lot. You just can't read the same thing, straightforward.
Wait. Exclusive per series, so you can use like
each series has their own refreshing ticket.
Oh, okay. So you could read if you're reading like 20 different series at the same time. You could read a fair bit of manga one day for free.
Exactly. And this app has a lot of manga. Sorry, go ahead.
Except that you can only read one extra chapter, right?
So there's also premiere tickets that you get from your login bonus.
Christ.
So when you log in, you get this free ticket, and I think you can hold up to a couple, but you can cash that in on any of the series. And if you run out of tickets and you want to read a chapter that needs tickets, I can watch a 30-second ad like you have in mobile games, free mobile games, and that will let me read one more chapter. So I have been reading 3 chapters a day of Parasite Reversi.
So slow.
I know, it's very slow.
You were complaining about 100 chapters?
I know, it is so fucking slow.
Doc is in our Discord, he posted, one day he posted, man, the 100 chapter limit sucks, and then the next day he posted, it really sucks, because the next day he just read another 100 chapters. And
it was The Prince of Tennis. I went through that shit in my 100 chapters in less than 2 hours.
Here's the deal. I understand why Kodansha can't do the subscription model. Like, $2 a month, like for the Viz app, is insane. That is an insanely cheap price to read all that manga.
And if they priced it more appropriately, like let's say maybe $9.99 or something, it would seem too expensive to a lot of people, even though it's a great value.
Right. So doing it this way allows them to afford to have the app at all. However, I'm so confused by everything you just said, Doc. I have like a vague idea of how this works.
Well, I'm going to confuse you further because there's also coins.
God damn it. And I assume you purchase coins much like you do on like a Webtoon or Tapas kind of app.
Yes. So the thing is, the coins are primarily so you can buy the chapter and then you own it. With the ticket system, you rent it and you get it for 72 hours and then you can't read it anymore. I don't know if you can re-rent it. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a one-time deal thing. The thing is, with the coins, you purchase the chapter and then you own it and you can read it forever. The coins, basically, from what I can see, it's about 1 cent to 1 coin. I'm trying to figure it out because right now there's a campaign and you get bonus coins when you buy. But it seemed like for $5, you get 515 coins. I think those 15 extra coins on the 500 are the bonus.
All right, so that's and how many coins does it cost to read a chapter? Does it depend on?
So
the series?
Older series, like I was looking at Tokyo Tareba Girls, it was like 69 coins per chapter to own, so less than $1.
Yeah,
but some of the newer, more popular series, like I Reincarnated into Slime. They were charging like I think it was 170 something per chapter.
Yeah, I mean that's what chapters cost, digital chapters. I mean that's true for yen also. Our stuff is I think so it probably matches, or
it's probably marketplace.
Yeah.
It's not like they're like pumping up or whatever. That's probably what it costs.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Darfox, I was talking about Parasite Reversi.
Yeah.
The final 4 chapters I cannot use my free ticket. I have to buy them with coins.
That's
You can't read the end of this fucking manga unless you use your coins.
Yeah. Even if they're not new chapters?
Even if they're not new chapters.
That's a bridge too far. I feel like that's like, You
can earn free coins. Every day, they say, hey, read this first chapter of this manga. Like yesterday, it was Fairy Tail. I just flipped through like that that first chapter, and then it was like, you earned 5 coins.
You saw them footage fly by your screen.
There's also a treasure chest thing, and so I can watch 3 commercials and have 3 chances at picking a treasure chest.
Chances?
it can have it's like a gacha. It's like a fucking slot machine.
Okay, but gachas don't make you roll commercials though. Usually, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, yeah, usually you pay money, Dar. So I'm not paying money, but I'm watching an ad for a chance to roll, and you can do it 3 times daily. And so I did it one day, and I got a 5 coin chest, a 10 coin chest, and then an extra premium ticket. That's why I didn't get the 50 coins. So
okay, here's the thing. I appreciate that they're trying to give you options, right, in order to read more manga free, whatever, etc. There are too many options. It is too convoluted. Have the coins and have the tickets, and just forget everything else. I just you can have the coins and have you can read X number of free chapters a day, and leave it at that. That's just this is too many. There's too many things to keep track of.
it is. It's actually a better system than the Manga Up app from Square Enix, the one that I was complaining about.
That's pretty low bar though, I feel like.
Yeah, their coin system is they have multiple tiers of coin system, so it's fucking crazy. Cause they got the free coins and they also got the premium coins. Essentially, you just replace the free coins with the ticket system. So it's not as bad as people are making it out to be, but it ain't great. It's fucking slow. Like I said, the max I can read without paying for free of Parasite Reversi is 3 chapters a day.
Well, and the timing of Viz just dropping their app and it being, much more streamlined and, again, better because they have the resources to make it better.
It's eating K-Manga's lunch, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's getting shit on even more.
It's a little mean. It's a little mean, Viz.
WWF, Monday Night Wars shit.
Yep. I'll talk about the Viz app in a second, but the last thing I want to say about the K-Manga app, and this is a pretty big con, it's the manga's censored.
Automatically? How does that work?
So I've been reading Parasite Reversi. It hasn't censored any violence. It's any sexual stuff is just covered up.
That's because it's in the Apple Store, right? I assume.
Probably.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
America.
So they said they're going to launch a website version of K-Manga, and I would like for them to have the uncensored manga over on the website, because that's how Viz does it with their Shonen Jump stuff too, right? We read Dandadan and Hell's Paradise, and those weren't available on the Shonen Jump app. They're only on the website, even though they're included in that subscription. I really hope they do that, because I was looking at, what is that fucking manga? Morgana hates it. It's by the Blade of the Immortal guy.
I don't know.
It's not Emerald, is it?
No, Die Vergelter.
Oh, that one. I forgot about that.
You know how much fucking sex is in that first chapter, Morgana?
I do, because I read it and was like,
You threw it in the trash.
Yeah, I didn't. But I think I was like, we need to shrink wrap this immediately before we sell it to anybody.
There is a hardcore sex scene in that, Darfox, and someone took a white eraser and just fucking erased that shit.
The whole page, or just the boobies?
The boobies and any part where there is contact to contact.
The boobies and the booties.
Is
no
all
TNA.
gone.
No holding hands. If you're holding hands, just white it out.
Yeah, so that part's all censored out on the app, and that's pretty bad. I wish it wasn't that way.
Why even make it available? Truly, why even have it there at all? I don't.
Also, I feel like that's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It was a lot of work to put all of the Fable out in English.
Yeah.
So much work went into putting a lot of manga that hasn't ever had official English licenses on this app.
Yeah, it's very weird situation, and we talk about how successful manga is but it's not like it's a foolproof business. Obviously, it can be precarious in some ways, and I think this kind of shows that in a weird way, where like the amount of work they've done, like should warrant a subscription, like a nice subscription, but it's like all this stuff is really just obfuscates everything.
It's not a subscription model. That's not what this app is. This is Kindle. They want this to be a Kindle. They want this to be a place where you buy your manga and read it. There's a bulk buy on every series where you can just like, here's the amount of coins you need to buy all the chapters that are available right now. It's right there on like the series page.
How much does like something like Fairy Tail cost?
That's like hold on, I'll look it up. I will say one really nice thing about this K-Manga app is when you go to a series page, there is a good synopsis of the series, and it has like all the localization credits right there.
Oh, on the actual landing page.
Yeah, on the description. So that's nice. That's nice, you know.
Some Kodansha employees really put the work in for this one.
But you know what this feels like it was totally pushed by Kodansha Japan with very little input from Kodansha USA.
Yeah, they got
trying to warn them like this isn't gonna fucking work. You're gonna get fucking chewed up. And with the Viz app launching at the same time, like right before, they are getting their face kicked in. There's 500. There's 545 chapters of Fairy Tail. To buy it, it costs. You can purchase it for 36,087 points, and you get a 3,609 point rebate.
Okay, what does it shake down to?
We said a coin is about a penny.
Yeah, so $360.
$360 for all fairies. I mean, it's a lot of money, but like I feel like
it's a long series.
Yeah,
so...
yeah. I feel like wouldn't that shake out? Not that
it's 63 volumes, Star.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's actually not bad, because if you bought the physical books, it would be $600. So, or more. I think they might be $10.99 or $12.99.
But here's the thing, Morgana. Some of these series have split chapters. Like I was looking at Blam on here, and they've split the chapters of Blam into 2 payable parts.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there's that contingency as well. That some of the chapters may be split.
It's just wild to think about how much thought was put into pricing out all the individual chapters and getting all the like as somebody who does a lot of the metadata processing for Yen, I'm like, this is a nightmare.
I think a lot of it is based directly off of how it is in the Japanese apps, because a lot of these manga series are on the Japanese side, right? And another thing about the Japanese apps, I was doing some research. Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, you have Magazine Pocket, which has Kodansha's Shonen magazine, Shonen manga on it. You can actually do a monthly subscription on the Kodansha Japanese app. And it gives you like a set amount of coins, and you get a lot of bonus coins for doing it that way. So Morgana, you know how you're saying like, let's do a subscription, just give us points, and then we'll just spend them every month? They can do that on the Japanese side. And on the Japanese apps, you can just buy the fucking magazine if you want. Like, weekly Shonen magazine, weekly Young magazine, morning magazine, afternoon magazine. You can just buy those magazines with those points if you want.
And I think I'm not sure that would work for the US audience. Just because,
obviously it doesn't work because you can't just put the magazine out.
Well, also just because I don't think a lot of Western readers necessarily have the context for what's in what. I mean, obviously you would find out, but like that's not how we consume our manga, even our like chapter by chapter, right?
Here's the thing. they obviously need to change some stuff up with this K Manga app. Because right now, it's kind of all over the place. The pros for this app is there's a lot of manga on it. There's a lot of manga that we've never had on it. Like, Morgana could read all of Windbreaker. Darfox could read all of The Fable. But we need a better option for other than just paying a la carte or using these, like, gotcha game for coins, free coins, and reading on a ticket system, like, very slowly. Give us an option to buy the coins in bulk and maybe like a subscription service, like a month subscription. And then I could just spend my coins how I want, right? That would be much better than having to go to the store, buy my coins every time. You know, that's how they want to do it, because that's how they make the money, obviously. So that is, I think that's everything with K-Manga that I have off the top of my head. Unless you guys have any other questions.
I don't think so. It just seems like the appeal is there because it's the Kodansha library, which is really, really deep.
They're the biggest publisher in Japan
Yeah.
for manga.
And then it's just there's so much obfuscation with all of the systems that just makes it hard to feel enthusiastic about it, even though they have all of the Fable on there.
Yeah, it's, and you know, I was looking at some of the English like stuff for like the newer chapters. It's all the translation and localization of the lettering. It looks nice, Dar. It's not a bad job at all. Somebody did a lot of work to put those to put all those English chapters out of the newest stuff. And it's just kind of a shame that the general public reaction to K-Manga is like, fuck this shit. And you can't really blame them. Can't really blame them.
Yep. A lot of people did a lot of good work. And the choices made from up on high distracted from that.
They were distracted because Viz came out and said, fuck you, Kodansha. We're making our Viz app into a new subscription service. Darfox, I just posted you a link. So the other news item is Viz. Yeah, it came out this week, and they're like, hey, we had the Viz Manga app where you could read your manga that you bought from Viz. Chris from Canada was giving me information about this because this isn't a new app. This is an app that they already had, and this is what he was using. But now they have a subscription, so they are doing simulpub of a bunch of series and a bunch of manga. These all seem to be the Shogakukan manga, the stuff that Viz already was putting out or was going to put out, that they could not put on the Shonen Jump app because Shonen Jump is Shueisha, a different publishing company. So Dar, you can just go scroll down on all those series. We got a lot of Rumiko Takahashi because she does. She works for Shogakukan. Some stuff like Basara's on there, Morgana, that we read. Do you know what's on here? The Ghost and the Lady.
Oh my god, is it?
Yes, you can read The Ghost and the Lady.
Wait, that's Kodansha.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, maybe the Ghost and the Lady was the K-Manga app. Sorry.
But if you have the K-Manga app, you should go read it, because it's great.
Yeah, it is.
Do they have the other stuff? The rest of the series?
They don't.
Damn, okay.
I know, right? Ushio and Tora is Shogakukan, and it's still not been put up of his. Oh, by the way, Dar, one thing about the K-Manga app, no Hajime no Ippo, because there is still no Hajime no Ippo in English. Well, I'm sorry.
Japan has its own Hajime no Ippo.
Yeah, it's out digital now in Japan, but
yeah,
no plans for English. Anyway, Darfox is slowly scrolling through the Viz subscription titles. You got some really great stuff here. A lot of works by Taiyo Matsumoto, by
Nana.
Yeah. Who was I thinking of? Asano Inyo. The Oishinbo stuff is on here. We have Natsume Ono stuff on here. There's a lot of good stuff. And I'm glad Darfox is showing the website with the latest free chapter stuff because that's the best way to see like where all this stuff is. They even have The Girl That Can't Get a Girlfriend by our friend Mieri Hiranish.
Yeah, I was happy when I saw that.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, Morgana, if you've looked at the Viz Manga app, the app itself, it's hard to tell where the free subscription stuff is.
Yes. Yeah, because it kind of has everything.
Yeah, they still have all their Viz titles. It's just that you used to be able to read the Shonen Jump stuff, and they took that stuff off. It's still, some of the stuff is still listed there, like the volumes of like the Shueisha manga that you can read. So currently, it's kind of hard to use that to go through and find the manga that you want. At least with the Viz Manga one.
I will say, the Viz Manga app is better looking than the K Manga app, and that's partially because I can turn on dark mode.
Yep.
My tablet is automatically on dark mode, but also you can change it on the Viz app. As far as I can tell, you can't do that on K Manga, and it's all like white with like tons of ads and things scrolling in your face, and it's like, I hate this. It hurts my eyes.
Yeah. So it's a $2 subscription for the $100 chapters per month. I think that's all well and fine. It's not good enough for me because Dakazu needs more than 100 chapters per day.
Okay, but it's better than the 3 that you're reading at a time right now on K Manga.
Okay, yes, this is true. I mean, like, I can't read vertically, right? I can't keep reading the same series, but if I wanted to read like 100 different series on K Manga and 1 chapter a day, I could do that. I mean, I wouldn't, because that sounds psychotic. How do you follow like 100 series a day as you keep reading like 1 chapter a day? You go nuts. So yeah, they got My Love Story on here, Darfox. You can read all of My Love Story. Hey, Junji Ito's no longer humans on here. There's a lot of Junji Ito. You just passed that. Seamus was just shitting on it. Yeah, it's good. It's good, and fucking hilarious that Viz was just like, fuck you, Kodansha, and put this out there. But, you know, people who wanted, you know, simulpub chapters of series like Freyrin, Beyond Journey's End, or Case Closed, all Case Closes on here, that's wild. Komi can't communicate.
Case Closed is gonna knock out your 100 chapter limit pretty quick.
But I just won't read it. I'm done with Detective Conan. I know that hurts Amber, ARG Bombshell, but not for me. Yeah, this is it's a good deal. I hope they'll be adding a lot more stuff, more Shogakukan stuff. We gotta bully Naoki Urasawa into releasing his stuff, because doesn't Viz put out stuff like Pluto and the other like?
Yeah, I think all the Urasawa is Viz except for
Billy Bat, because Billy Bat is Kodansha.
But also, I think that there's a Louvre manga that came out in English, that Urasawa one, and that's NBM, I think, publishes that.
Oh, that wasn't Viz? Because Cats of the Louvre was on here, the title
Cats of the Louvre is, yeah, but I think, I could be wrong, it might be Viz. I know that NBM has published some of the Louvre books, the non-manga ones.
But yeah, it's the Viz app seems like a great deal, just like the Shonen Jump app is. I think it's cheaper because the Shonen Jump app went up from $2. The Viz one is still like $2. Yeah. Oh, you know, I didn't talk about the K-Manga reader. The reader is pretty good. It's got a limited zoom, but you know, all the manga readers usually have a limited zoom. At least it's not a fixed limited zoom, like only 2 levels. Like we can only zoom into this amount, or you can control it with your, you know, touchscreen and pinch. So that's good. I I saw that on some chapters they didn't have the scroll bar at the bottom, and I was pissed. I was like, if I want to flip back to the beginning of this chapter, I don't want to flip back page by page. But then some other series already had like the scroll bar at the bottom, so I don't know what that was up with the K Manga app, but it was definitely there. The Viz one obviously is based on the Shonen Jump one. They have the scroll bar at the bottom. The reader is fine. No Crunchyroll manga levels of badness for web readers.
That would be
tragic.
Yeah, I mean, again, low bar.
Yes. It's a low bar on the Crunchyroll manga reader. But yeah, that's basically it for the news on these two manga services, the Viz subscription and also the K Manga service. Hopefully we'll see improvements from K Manga, especially because they got a lot to make. But also I'm interested to see what else they're adding on the Viz side. Man, we need to take a break soon because I am getting tired. I'm chewing on my words.
We haven't even gotten to the main meat yet.
I know. Let's wrap up this news. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this in the future. But yeah, let's do a quick talk about what we're doing next week. So next week, we're going to be using the Viz subscription service, and we're going to be doing a triple dip. We got 3 titles on here that we want to talk about. We're going to read Orochi, the Perfect Edition by Kazuo Umez, the first volume, which is 2 chapters. We're also looking at Natsume Ono's House of 5 Leaves, chapters 1 through 7. And then also Saturn Apartments by Hisai Iwaoka. So it's a suggestion by Seamus. Chapter 1 through 8 of that. So triple dip using the Viz manga app. Looking forward to looking at some new manga we have not taken a look yet. Stay tuned for that next week. Alright everybody, I really need a break. I gotta go use the bathroom. So we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we will be getting into our main segment, our one-shot review of Satoshi Kon's anthology manga collection, Dream Fossil. We'll be right back.
Give me a second. All right. See you soon, everybody.
Okay, everybody, we are back. After our lengthy first segment, we're finally talking about the manga that we read this week, which was Dream Fossil by Satoshi Kon. This is a collection of 15 short stories that he did. Satoshi Kon, of course, is the anime auteur, director of such films as Tokyo Godfathers, Millennium Actress, Perfect Blue, Paprika. Very tragically, he passed away at a very young age. And we have this release originally from Vertical, so from Kodansha now in English. The Japanese title for this was Yume no Kaseki. So yeah, Dream Fossil. But it is the collection of short stories works, and let me get the English localization credits. We have translation by Yota Okutani, production by Grace Lou Risa Cho, Anthony Quintessenza, and Melissa DeJesus.
De Jesus.
De Jesus. All right. The Japanese version came out in 2011. This English translation copyright is 2019. Let me read the copy over at Kodansha. Dream Fossil is a collection of 15 short stories by critically hailed anime author Satoshi Kon. Stories were serialized in a variety of magazines in the 1980s and provide a rare glimpse into the early stages of Kon's uniquely compelling style of storytelling. Buds of dreamlike themes and imaginative worldviews that would blossom in Kon's later animated works are readily apparent in flights of fancy anchored by knowing, empathetic portrayals of human nature. That's a very lovely copy. It says various magazines, but the majority of the magazines that these stories were published in were Young Magazine, which I should mention is the same seinen magazine put out by Kodansha that had Akira. Because boy oh boy, do a lot of these stories read like Katsutomo Otomo's Akira. I'm sure I'm not the only one who thought of Otomo as I checked out Dream Fossil.
I think wasn't one of them for like some issue of the magazine that was just for Akira.
Yeah.
It's all about Akira.
Akira World. The picnic story was for Akira World. That was the color one.
Their artwork is even very similar. Not like the same for sure, but like there are similar elements with Otomo and Kon's artwork. Possibly part of it is just that, they were making manga at the same time period, but
It seems really similar.
Yes, I feel a direct inspiration of Satoshi Kon that he felt from the speed lines of Akira.
Yeah, even the speed lines were specifically, it's not just speed lines, it's speed lines that's like grafted onto the hallways.
Mm-hmm, yep.
That kind of stuff.
Speed lines and psychic children.
Yep. That first story, Carve, it might as well be Satoshi Kon's version of Akira.
You know what's funny? The first few stories, I kind of had a hard time following them, and I think they're kind of the weakest in the collection. But as it picked up, I really I don't know, I got into it, and I felt like maybe... Are they in chronological order? I didn't really pay attention.
Let me just double check. I believe they are mostly.
That makes sense.
The first one I really felt kind of like a Satoshi Kon touch was the one about the long distance relationship and the girl that he saves from like the shitty boyfriend. And I'm just like,
Summer of Anxiety.
Then there's various chase scenes like that maybe it's just a chase scene, but that was very much, it just felt like Satoshi Kon and kind of like the character interactions and stuff. That one felt a lot more familiar. I could feel his like kind of creative tendencies in that a lot more. And it came up in a lot of the other ones, but that was the first one I was like, okay, yeah, I can see this as being a Satoshi Kon story. The other ones, kind of before that, I was just kind of like, a little bit like whatever.
Yeah, it's like they hadn't quite found the voice yet of what was trying to go on. I like the punchline in that story in particular.
Yes.
My favorite Satoshi Kon movie is Tokyo Godfathers. So the stories in here, so the stories in here that are like humorous are the ones that I'm like most invested in, right? Or that have humorous quality, like the grandmother who's in the hospital and she's getting transferred.
That was the best one. It's
absolutely the best one. And she did like a runaway gurney, like
that manga reads like an anime. I could just imagine how it would be animated with those wacky scenes.
Well, I could hear it. You could hear the traffic noises and you know what I mean?
Ironically, it's very similar to one of the stories in Memories. The gas guy with
okay, but here's the thing. Satoshi Kon worked on that movie, and that's not the one he worked on.
He worked on the space one, right?
Yeah, the first story.
Which is kind of
Magnetic Rose.
You see some of Magnetic Rose actually in the Ghost one about the house with the ghost.
Oh, I like that one too.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the way the ghosts are drawn and the way they're kind of walking through the wall and stuff is very reminiscent of Magnetic Rose.
Yeah, the Ghost one, it reminded me of his other manga collection called World Apartment Horror. This one is not available in English, but that had a lot of themes of like supernatural elements. You know what the beginning like collection of these stories feels like? It feels like Satoshi Kon is working with a manga editor. Is like, why didn't you try the sports story? Why didn't you try this kind of story? You know, I can feel the hand of an editor being like, this might be popular and this might be good.
Those baseball ones meant nothing to me.
They're kind of meh.
The first one about like Koshien and like I was like, I have no clue what's happening here. I literally had no idea why this one character was like such a like so aggressive and such a problem, and why it was like so vague, the whole thing. So
it's supposed to be a comedy. It's comedy, you know. This high school baseball team that was all like, whatever, we're not going to like the national tournament, so we're just gonna start smoking and drinking booze, and oh no, we've suddenly been promoted because the other school dropped out, so now we get to go. And now the ace player has to hide all his, you know, drinking and his smoking and being horny for like the main girl, and yeah. And speed lines everywhere, Morgana. Speed lines.
Yeah, that one totally meant nothing to me. It was I liked the other baseball one was kind of cute, the one with the kids. But even that was kind of like, yeah, like it didn't feel like Satoshi Kon yet. And then we got like some of the weird psychic stuff later too, or like that dystopia where like the kids have to go to like rehab or whatever, the center for like because they're like acting out. I'm like, this is extremely like.
Oh, the last story, right?
Was it the last one? Yeah,
it was the last one. Yeah, and it turns out like this kid rebels and like steals a gun, and he's like, I'm gonna blow up like the nerve center, but it turns out he's just having a dream and being rehabbed.
And that's very Satoshi Kon, the dream thing. I think of Satoshi Kon as being like very invested in the idea of dreaming and the layers of dreams. I mean, like Paprika is like all that, and you know, I think I've mentioned this before. I remember when Inception came out and people were like, oh my god, it blew my mind. I'm like, have you guys not seen Paprika? this is the same thing. And Paprika's way weirder and harder to follow.
And there's actually, I'm pretty sure there's scenes directly lifted off of Paprika, like the mirror scene, I think. I'm vaguely trying to remember, but I mean, Satoshi Kon, for having only made a handful of movies, got ripped off a lot by filmmakers.
Well, he's so distinct, right? He has such a specific vision. And like even and you know, I was saying Tokyo Godfathers is my favorite. And in some ways it's like the most straightforward like story. But even in that there are these elements of like dreaming and like I don't know, it's like vaguely supernatural.
Yeah, it's Tokyo Godfathers is all about like the serendipity and potential mini miracles that's happening on like Christmas Eve, right, or whatever it was, where it's just this long series of interconnected coincidences that lead to like the climax, essentially. So it's like a realistic movie in the sense that they're not diving in dreams, right? But at the same time, the reality that you're living is almost like a dream.
Did you guys all like that story in this collection, The Joyful Bell? About the man who's dressed as Santa Claus, and I was like, this is Tokyo Godfather's prototype. Yes. I can tell.
It's also like It's a Wonderful Life and also The Twilight Zone.
Yep, all
kind
mixed
of
together.
all rolled into one.
Seamus, what did you think of Dream Fossil?
Yeah, I think if it like Morgana, the first few, I was just like, I don't care about any of this. I think for me, I don't know, the standout ones were that Akira issue one, mostly for like the color,
And they look
a lot of
nice.
that. The historical one where they were being chased through the forest by the
Oh yeah,
tiger.
the tiger. That one was weird.
It was
I think
impressive, though. Sorry, go ahead.
because you got that one, you had the bike one, and you had like the grandmother one, and it's all like they're all like, well, are they? Yeah, they're all essentially a kind of chase. It's just like that one, like the entirety of that one is like a chase. Yeah, plus it was very like different from like the stuff I don't know you kind of associate with him, where it's like fancy, well, not a fancy setting. It's like just a historical setting. Yeah, it's funny what you're saying, Doc, because like it did feel at a certain point just him trying out like different things.
He wasn't a creative voice or person, right? Yet, like he wasn't like a household name, right? So like, it was almost work for hire. It wasn't really work for hire, but it almost like that.
I mean, but the samurai one that Seamus mentioned is very impressive. Like when they're fighting the tiger running through there. I think there's a part where they shoot at the tiger with a gun, and there's like the tiger is in like
darkness.
Yeah, but the rest of it is in darkness. Like that's drawn really well.
Yeah, that sequence in particular stood out to me, where it was just a bunch of darkness and then the gunshot lit the tiger up. And I think that was the first time we saw a tiger, or one of the first times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a stubborn fucking tiger.
Oh yeah.
They stabbed and shot that thing so many times. I mean, I know that they're like big and difficult to kill, but like you had like 4 dudes hitting it from all sides and it was like not dying.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you don't have like modern weaponry, it's probably pretty hard to kill a tiger.
I have never tried, and God willing, I will never have to try.
Let me tell you about what I did last weekend.
Oh boy.
I wouldn't literally never kill a tiger. Like
you got a 50 cal and just blew its head off.
Yeah, no. Like for me to kill a tiger, it would have to be like the tiger is about to kill, like I don't know, Hideo Kojima. Like that's the only reason. That's the only reason I would kill a tiger.
You wouldn't even save yourself. You
no, if a tiger coming after me, I was like fair. Like this is just the food chain. Here we go.
I'm actually like I love big cats. I am actually kind of terrified of tigers. They are big, and they are. I mean, I don't think you don't just get attacked by tigers. I think you really have to. There have to be mitigating circumstances, but I wouldn't stand a chance against a tiger. Absolutely not.
What did you all think about the kidnapper story?
Oh, I like that one too. It was cute.
It had like a sense of whimsy and comedy to it, where I had read these stories up to this point, and I was kind of like, this okay. And then we got to that one, I was like, this wacky situation of a man who steals a car, and that just happens to be the kidnapper's car. And now it's like hijinks of like, I feel Satoshi Kon and his comedy coming through.
Yeah.
And then that one's followed by the haunted house story, and I was like, oh, thank you. I reached a good point.
Yeah, we finally hit the stride here of like, oh yes.
Like so many of those stories in high school, like the one about the bike, Morgan, I know you like that one, but there was the other one about the high school graduating kids that wanted to go to the brothel. And I was just I was like, this is just such a, for its time in the 80s and young magazine for like young, adults, like a type of story about like slice of life for dudes. And I was like, eh.
Yeah, the one with the bikes I didn't actually care for that much, except for the ending. I was like, just that, because the dudes were dicks. I was like, I've got a long distance girlfriend, but I really want to get with a girl. And I'm like, oh God, Jesus. Just grow up. Grow up.
Oh, I forgot about the story about
the boner. No kidding.
There was a story about the tutor who's asked to like check on like the students, and it turns out it's because actually like the teacher and like the mom are having an affair.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Once again, this reads like another, kind of quirky dramatic comedy thing that would run in like a seinen magazine around the 80s or 90s or whatever.
It's funny, like, I think Satoshi Kon is best known for being kind of, I don't know if avant-garde is the word, but like, he has all these big ideas again about dreams, and like there are some of his stories. It's not his, but Perfect Blue is very violent and weird and layered, and he's so funny. He's so good at comedy. There's so like, I don't know. It also is a very distinct sense of humor that kind of encompasses his style, that I just really, really like. And it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame that he died. I think he was like 41 or something. He's very young and sick. But I almost like, part of the reason I'm so sad is because I would have liked to see him do more kind of movies in the vein of Tokyo Godfathers, where there's more on the humor, there's more, or so like some of these stories, it's a little bit more of that particular brand of humor that it's kind of unique to him.
His pancreatic cancer at the age of 46. So young.
Cancer sucks, guys.
Cancer? Fuck cancer.
And he knew he was dying. Did you guys read the interview at the end with the composer?
I actually did not get to read it.
Me neither.
It was, so they interviewed, I can't remember his name, but the composer whose music is in all of Satoshi Kon's work. And he was
Susumu Hirasawa.
Yes, he was talking about how, in most cases when you're making an animated film, the music gets made after the animation is all done, but Satoshi Kon actually had the music composed first and worked the other way, which is interesting because his work has very distinct music too, right? But Susumu was also talking about talking with Kon as he was dying, and like knew he was dying, and the things that he was like preparing for the inevitable. And I was so sad. It's just so like, you're sick, you're dying, you're never going to be able to do all the things that you have planned. I mean, in some ways it's nice you can kind of prepare and set things in order, but it's sad. It's very, I've always been sad about Satoshi Kon's death, again, just because he was so young, and we have so little of his work. So it's nice that we have these collections, these manga collections, but oh no, Bummersville.
Yeah. Oh, interesting enough, that final story, the one about like being locked in that dream, Toriko, that was his debut work. Which I guess that kind of makes sense, like, and it was put out as a doujinshi because it looks like, kind of the way the shadows work, it looks a little bit more, it looks different than like what you would expect in the published magazines.
That's very interesting because I feel like that's very strongly his brand, and then the other stuff at the beginning of this collection is like not. It's like
the editors coming in and be like, "Why don't you try this, Satoshi Kon? This might like sell well." Well, thank goodness it didn't. He went out to do good anime movie instead, right? I don't know. I wouldn't mind a series out of that ghost house.
Yes.
There was a part where the daughter gets fucking slapped by like one of the guests at one point.
Yes.
Because she has like her eyes a little like puffy, and like the guy's like, "Ah, it's a ghost," and that's like whaps her into the wall.
Yeah, because she was getting like beaten up by ghosts.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Did you? One of the ghosts was like
The
Urusei
mother-in-law?
Yasuda, otaku.
Yeah, he had like a Lum t-shirt.
Yeah, that didn't run in the same magazine, did it? I had to imagine. I'm not sure where Urusei Yasuda ran, but
No, Urusei Yatsuda ran in Weekly Shonen magazine. No, not Shonen. Sorry, Sunday. Weekly Sunday, which is Shogakukan's Shonen magazine.
Yeah.
It's confusing because fucking Kodansha's Shonen magazine is just called Magazine and fucking shit.
yeah, I just thought that was kind of goofy. You see Lum there.
I'm flipping through these pages and like, especially the expressions of the humans and the people, very, very similar to Katsuhisa Otomo.
They have kind of blockhead and fat lips, which is very. I feel like that's the Katsuhiro Otomo look.
Yeah, Katsuhiro. Sorry, I was saying that wrong. Or the big mouths. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's just like it's very distinct look, and it's not really how his like animated films look.
The story about the kids playing baseball is like, I recognize those kid looks. And these speed lines. That story kind of ended with like nothing. He's like, he went up against that pitcher and he finally swung the bat and got a hit, and he got the first base.
Well, you see, they bonded over the game. Or something.
Or something.
The beautiful game.
I like this. But I didn't start liking it until I got past like those first couple stories.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 stories in, and I was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah. The grandma, the grandma one, which Dark Fox said it was like the one anime section of memories.
The Fart Man.
Yeah, the Fireman one. Beyond the Sun is what it's called here. Is so fucking funny and good. How does a wheelie bed go all the way to the beach and then go surfs up? What a perfect ending.
Grandma surfs up, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or they dodge a truck and the truck goes off like a cliff and then there's a giant explosion and the people are like flying through the air going like, ah!
It's like Looney Tunes, man.
Yeah, it's great. It's great and it's funny. Oh, there's one story in here that I think is bad. It is the tank one.
Oh yeah, I didn't get that like at all. That was another one there. I was kind of like, okay, war, I guess.
German soldiers riding a Panzer. Maybe Satoshi Kon was a military like tank otaku. I don't know. It was weird.
But definitely, I mean, anthologies are always kind of hit or miss. I do think that, like, on the whole, this is worth reading. There are just a handful of, like, weird choices in here that I don't really understand, but...
Well, they're just a collection of his work
Yeah.
when he was doing manga and when he was very young. That's what it is, right? And a lot of these works are, people trying to get serialized in a magazine, so they're trying a lot of different things, experimenting, listening to their editor, trying different genres, different storylines, see what sticks, see what works.
But, when it's good, it's good. It's real good.
I would have serialized the Ghost House story.
Yeah.
The grandma story is good, but it's like pretty much like a one-off.
Yeah, that's a one-shot for sure. Or a short story.
Mm-hmm.
But like and even the Toriko one, like, that kind of wraps up nicely in 2 chapters, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a really it's like a short science fiction story you might find in an anthology, like a sci-fi anthology.
Yeah. Sounds like we're kind of winding down on our discussion for this, so... Seamus, anything else to mention about Dream Fossil? Or things about Satoshi Kon?
I think, was there any other particular story? No. Can't think of any particular one.
Alright. Darfox, any final thoughts on Dream Fossil?
It's a little disappointing overall, just because I'm a big fan of his work. But I went in there expecting it not to be like his movies. And like Morgana said, it is worth reading because it's not like it's bad work. It's just, it just kind of seemed like Katsuhiro Otomo, fan fiction or something.
It really does.
But it's solid. Like it pops. You know, I'd say if you're a really big Satoshi Kon fan, it's definitely worth looking at his manga. Just have a bigger understanding of the scope of his work. But if you've never seen a Satoshi Kon movie, don't read his manga. Go watch one of his movies.
Maybe we can take a look at his Opus, which is also out in English.
Yeah, I read that one a long time ago, and I wouldn't mind rereading it. I remember really enjoying it, and it doesn't, it's not finished, so the end of it is like all these sketchy storyboard type pages. It's kind of one of those like sad, like, again, Bummersville. He never finished it, but it's extremely Satoshi Kon. It is like extraordinarily on brand.
Yeah, it looks like Opus ended in 1996, and then 97 he did Perfect Blue, so after that it was anime time. Anything else to say about Dream Fossil, Morgana?
It's a good little collection. I was ready at the beginning to be like, wow, this really sucks compared to his other work. But I came away from it with, enjoying, I would say, most of it. So yeah, I think Dar is right. Like, if you're unfamiliar with Satoshi Kon, go watch his films. And then maybe come back to this, because I think you'd get a sense of who he is as an artist better from his films than from this particular collection.
Yeah, you can catch like some themes and some glimpses into what he wants to do and what he's great at, but like I was saying, I feel the hand of a manga editor trying to set him up for serialization or like trying out ideas. Some of them are more successful than others. Alright, and that's going to wrap up our discussion and wrap up this episode. So let's go ahead and end everything. Thank you to Darfox and Morgana and Seamus for being on this episode. Special thanks to Dar for setting up the YouTube stream. Little shout outs to the people who were with us in the chat. Cliff, Chris from Canada, Tyler. Thanks for joining us. Reminder that next week we're going to do a triple dip based on some manga that's on the Viz subscription service. We'll be reading the first volumes of Orochi, the Perfect Edition by Kazuo Mez, House of Five Leaves by Natsume Ono, and Saturn Apartments by Hisae Iwaoka. Stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed listening to our episode, please subscribe to Manga Machinations, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever else you can find us. Rate and review us. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mangamactv. The recording of this stream should be going up there, in case you want to watch Darfox in his green shirt. Buy us a coffee to support us, ko-fi.com/mangamactv. Come join us on our Discord server, discord.me/mangamac. Send us emails, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @MangaMac Podcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. You can follow my personal Twitter @Dakazu. Follow Darfox @Darfox8. Follow Morgana @MorganaRelina. And follow Seamus @Seamus2389. Seamus is spelled without an H. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye. Darfox, you can shut the stream off.
See y'all next week.